Stay till the end to find out more information about our escape room workshop. How's it going? Bizarro here to show you how to do a Connect the Wires puzzle the test subject's way. We've played with a bunch of different versions of Connect the Wire puzzles over the years, and some of them were very easy to wire up and make happen, and some of them were the opposite of very easy to make happen. So this new puzzle we're working on here is a little bit of a different slant on the concept. We wanted to make it very user-friendly, which presented its own set of challenges, and so we thought it'd be fun to show you how we solve those problems. So let's go to the bench. Most Connect the Wires puzzles have two pieces. You have your wire that you plug in and your port where the wire goes. And a lot of times you'll see these or the banana clips, you'll just see something with a long plug like this. Now I don't like to use these because these can be easily broken because they have this very long thing. Stick it in, people can snap it off. And if you buy cheap ones, you're boned, right? I prefer personally to use XLR cable, as you can see here. XLR cable is much more robust. It's got metal housings usually, and the pins are inside. Now these can still get damaged, but it is less likely than with these things here. Now, and depending how you do this, you have to have some sort of logic usually to determine what goes where. Now you can technically wire a wires puzzle up in series without getting logic involved, but you have to plan the puzzle very, very efficiently. You would basically, some wires have to be shorter than others and longer, so certain wires can't reach because technically if you wire it wrong, it can be brute forced or connected improperly. So generally you have to get some logic involved. If you're a programmer, Arduino works fine and everything like that, but for those of us who just want to hit it and quit it and go, we have this guy here. This, of course, is the Escape Keeper, which is made for stuff like this, and the patch panel sequencer, which is very specifically made for Connect the Wires puzzles here. And this is what we'll be using to do the logic for us. So you have our XLR cables, we have our sequencer, and we have our Escape Keeper. Now you'll notice that these colors of wires do not match the plates of which they're plugged into. And the reason for that is we're going to be learning color theory for this puzzle. You're going to have to realize, you know, yellow and blue make green, right? So push this in here, and that goes into there. We have yellow and red make orange, blue and red make purple, right? Pretty easy kind of stuff. But this presents its own unique challenges where how do you wire these up in a way where only these wires will work, but because you have two yellows and two blues, how do you make sure only those wires work? And the other issue was, how do you make sure that no matter which way they put it in, it'll work, right? Now, you could have an extra step in the puzzle that makes it where they have to determine which one is number one and which one's number two. But for the first run of the room, we're gonna see if people can figure things out without that and not have to worry about that. Now, if it needs to be harder, we can make it that way, where they have to know that blue goes first, yellow goes here, and everything like that. But to make this puzzle very user-friendly, we had to get creative on the wiring. So I'm gonna flip this thing around and kind of show you what we did. So normally, with a Connect the Wires puzzle, you end up, one of the ends of the wires is just in the wall, like this. Sorry, like this, right? And so you never usually have to deal with both ends. You've got the wire running out of the wall, and a wire from that is running to your patch panel sequencer, and then your port is running to this, so it knows which thing connects to where. But I wanted both ends of the wires to be able to be moved around and connected and stuff like that. And because you have to get two wires for each thing here, that also became an issue. And again, I wanted it to be no matter which orientation you put them in, you would get the right thing as long as you put the right wires in the right spot. So here's what I had to do. So on both ends of these wires, I opened them up. XLR cables are all fairly standard. If you look here, it's going to be hard to see right there, but it'll say 1, 2, 3. Most of the pins are the same, right? So most of the time your 3 is here, and then your 1 and your 2. That's usually how they go, but check it anyway. Check your wiring, right? So yellow is 3, and I actually did this alphabetically, right? So blue is 1, red is 2, yellow is 3, so that way I can remember exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to snip I'm going to snip 1 and 2 like this, because we don't need them, right? Because yellow is 3. So now only the port 3, this pin, works on the XLR. That's the only one that will actually do anything on the wires right there. I already wired this up over here with these other blue and yellow wires, as you can see. So what I've done is on this plate, the plate that can go wherever, like this can be mounted in the wall, this can be mounted on another housing or something like that. It can be mounted wherever. What I've done is I have connected 1 and 3 on both sides. That way, no matter which one of these cables is connected, it'll always be making a connection jumping across, no matter what, right? So that means this is kind of self-contained away from everything. And over here, what I've done is I have wired in a very similar fashion, but I've taken a strand of 4-wire cable here, and I've connected to the 1 and the 3 on this, and the 1 and the 3 on this here. And then, using this, as you can, let me get rid of him. What I've done is I've connected the red and black here and the blue and yellow here, and that means that if I put this port, if I split this and put one of these in here and then one of these in here, it doesn't matter which direction these go in. You can put blue on top and yellow on bottom and yellow on top and blue on bottom. Any number of combinations will trigger this because these other 2 wires, they're just not, there's nothing going to them. There's no connection being made. And I've tested this, believe it or not, with my multimeter to make sure for continuity, but I'll show you what I'm talking about here. By the way, for those of you who don't know, if you've never messed with a multimeter here and you want to check your continuity of your wires, see that little symbol there? It looks like Wi-Fi. If you put your multimeter on that, like that, you'll see it says OL. What I'm going to do is I'm going to touch this to here and touch this to here, and you'll hear a beep. Hear that noise? That means that it is making a connection. That means that electricity is flowing. It's using the power of this to flow through and make a connection and tell you there's continuity. So if I was to swap these connections like this, I'll move this one out of here, like this, and this one into here. The other thing I like about XLR cables is they lock in place. There's a click, there's a feedback. That's what I like about those. So once again, connect to here, it still connects like that. You still get continuity. I now have all 3 things wired up here. As you can see that the patch panel sequencer is doing its thing. It's scanning and checking all the connections. And down here you can see that the inputs are all being detected and everything like that. And I have a light set up here as my test. That would be a signal. So if I unplug this here and then plug it back in, you'll see the light come on briefly and turn back off. So everything's working, no problem. And here's why you have to use something like this in a situation like for this, in this particular thing. As I said before, usually connect the wires puzzles if you want to do them in something like series or with relays or something like that, you have to make sure some of the wires can't reach other ports, right? That's just how the way it is. Otherwise, you have to get some sort of logic involved. Now, what's interesting is with this particular setup, because we're using 3 wires and 6 ports, well, 12, but you know what I mean, because of the way I wanted to do this very particular method, what's interesting is, I'll show you something here. I'm going to disconnect all of these here. Now, if I leave these 2 connected, but I swap the red to here, right? So that goes there, and that goes there. But if I swap the reds here, now right now you can see the only thing that's blinking is the number 1 wire, which will always be blinking. That one always blinks. If I plug this in like this, now, hold on a second. I think I need to plug these in as well. Hold on a second. There we go. There we go. So with all those plugged in, now you're getting lights 1 and 2 blinking, which is like, when you see that, you sit there and go, oh no, this can be brute forced out of order, right? And that's what I thought for a long time. And after a conversation with the amazing people over at Fright Ideas, found out that is not the case and how this thing works. It actually knows that. Like the way this thing works, I don't understand the magic behind it 100% because I didn't make it, but it actually helps prevent things like this from happening. Now, if this was set up with relays or something like that, you could brute force it and it would still work. But this prevents that. So that's the reason we're using the Escape Keeper and the patch panel here instead of wiring it up, with other items and stuff. So I just swapped all of the wires around. None of these go where they're supposed to, even though technically they still work. They still make a connection. But I want to show you what this thing is doing here. Do you see how the lights are now like blinking out of sequence? That has something to do with how this prevents it from being brute forced like this or solved incorrectly. It has something to do with the timing of the lights and the scanning and everything like that. So, big shout out to these guys for thinking about this stuff for the people like us who want to do crazy, weird things. So there you go. There's our Connect the Colors puzzle, a really quick one-day build. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below and we'll get back to you. And if you make something like this, let us know, as always, and we'll see you next time. The test subjects are doing a workshop on creative puzzle design at Recon, the Reality Escape Convention. Come join us and take part in all of the talks, games, and other fun stuff August 22nd through the 23rd. We'll see you there.